what's up, y'all? It's Craig like this D. Let's react to this video. This is top 10 myths confirmed by the Mythbusters. Mythbusters. A lot of myths out there, and it's important for us to know the facts, know the real deal. So that's what we're about to do. We're about to find out today. Let's watch.
Number 10. A blind person can safely drive with instructions.
To get this myth under control, they needed to figure out how to work as one.
It may seem to go against the very nature of driving, but it turns out that blind people can drive quite well when given proper instructions from a passenger. Adam and Jamie initially drove a course blindfolded and, of course, failed. However, they discovered that a real blind person could drive quite well with a sober and attentive passenger relaying them information. We say sober and attentive because they also tested the effects of an intoxicated passenger and found that it resulted in more erratic driving due to the failure of communication. Despite the success of this myth, both Adam and Jamie emphasize that this is illegal, no matter how precise the instructions may be.
Yeah, it looks like Jerry will successfully avoid traffic school. And stop. You made it.
Number 9. A modern car can run on moonshine.
What I have here is traditional moonshine. Now, this is what we're going to be using to fuel our cars. Now, this particular moonshine is about 192 proof, which means it's about 96% ethanol. That goes down smooth.
Just remember this next time you may want to try moonshine.
Right?
It is so potent that it can
be
literally power a modern car's engine. The build team placed 192 proof moonshine in the fuel tanks of cars from the 1970s, 1990s, and 2010s. And while the 70s and 90s cars failed to perform, Carrie's modern car successfully completed 3 laps, despite slower than average acceleration. The car also managed to go from 0 to 60 in 9 seconds, and Tori clocked a time of 2 minutes and 24 seconds doing 3 laps at a speedway. So if you're ever worried about running out of gas, throw a spare bottle of hooch in your trunk.
I'm shocked.
So, after completing 3 almost perfect laps, it's clear the unmodified modern car and its computer can handle the hard stuff.
Number 8. A human voice can shatter glass. You see it all the time in movies. A person sings at such a high register that their voice alone shatters the glass they are holding. Is this fact or merely a parlor trick? Turns out it's fact. Adam partly confirmed the myth by shattering a glass made of crystal with his own amplified voice. While this was interesting and all, the Mythbusters took it up a notch by bringing in author and vocal coach Jamie Vandera. Vandera was able to shatter the glass with his own unamplified voice that measured at 117 decibels at 48 meters, the equivalent of 120 decibels at 1 meter. It was then that the myth was well and truly confirmed. Number 7. Bigger breasts mean bigger tips.
Now, I'll be working the same shift every day. I'll be wearing the same clothes every day. We're wearing the same wig and contacts every day. The only thing that's going to change is my breast size.
It's a myth some of us may not want to believe, but as Carrie and the build team proved, it is true. To test this myth, Carrie disguised herself and went undercover in a coffee shop, complete with a tip jar rigged to separate tips from men and women. When Carrie's breasts were both taped down and unaltered, she received $72 in tips from the first 80 male customers. When her breasts were rigged to triple D size, she received $98. As Carrie received substantially more money with the larger breasts, the myth was easily confirmed.
But more interesting to me is that women gave 40% more. I think this must be primal. Bigger boobs just yield more satisfaction.
Number 6. You can be electrocuted by lightning through a corded telephone.
But can it actually happen? To find out, the Mythbusters need a house and lightning. The second part sounds tricky. But it turns out they're in luck.
As the myth goes, lightning has the ability to travel through a corded telephone and deliver a shocking surprise to a person on the other end. You may have heard this seemingly ridiculous myth from your mother or father growing up and shaken your head in disbelief, but it turns out they were right. After Adam and Jamie sent 200,000 volts into a hut, the electricity traveled from the phone's mouthpiece into the dummy's mouth and set off an explosive charge, signaling that lightning can indeed electrocute you through a corded phone. Mom and Dad aren't so stupid now, are they?
That was beautiful!
Number 5. Overusing bug bombs can cause an explosion.
2 in the hallway here.
You need to move if you have to
bug bombs inside the house. The same myth, and more than 10 times the manufacturer's recommended amount. Then they'll fire up each of the ignition systems until they get a blast.
You best leave bug eradication to the professionals. A San Diego family discovered this when their house blew up, supposedly because they used too many bug bombs. According to the report, a spark ignited the chemicals in the air, causing an explosion within the house. While this sounds like something you may find on Snopes, the Mythbusters were able to verify the story in their tests. although the explosion itself was rather small and it took dozens of bug bombs to see the desired results. However, the fact remains that an overuse of bombs can in fact cause an explosion, however small. Number 4. Superglue has enough hold to glue furniture to the ceiling.
We're actually going to glue everything to the ceiling so we can make an
Superglue
upside down room. Curious to see if this is actually going to work.
As the Mythbusters found out, superglue really can do anything. In the preliminary testing, the build team was able to lift a station wagon for several seconds using 7 drops of superglue and a construction crane. They then built a mock hotel room and gave themselves 6 hours to completely invert the room using nothing but superglue. Despite a few problems, they were ultimately successful and were able to completely glue the sheets, cushions, and furniture to the ceiling, giving it the appearance of an upside-down room. We knew superglue was strong, but this is something else.
That is one upside-down bed with a cherry on top.
Number 3.
That's
Driving while
wild.
tired is more dangerous than driving inebriated.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
the drinking part, that was
yeah.
easy. But staying
your
up
body
for
gonna shut
39
down.
hours in a row, that messes with your head.
You may not believe it, and you may have done it yourself on numerous occasions, but driving while exhausted is actually more dangerous than driving drunk. To test the myth, Carrie and Tori were each given enough drinks to get them just below a 0.08 BAC. Once that test was completed, they both stayed awake for 30 hours without the help of caffeine or sugar. After they took the test again, while exhausted, their performances had significantly worsened, confirming the myth that driving while sleep deprived is more dangerous than driving at the legal 0.08 BAC level.
I was somewhat terrified
Unbelievable.
for the camera crew every now and then. I'd be like, I'm falling asleep here. At some point, they're going to have to run.
Number 2, a rock kicked up by a lawnmower has the same force as a bullet.
The idea is that a rock kicked by a lawnmower can have an equivalent amount of force as a bullet delivered from a .357 pistol.
That's
Lethal
wild.
lawnmowers. I like it.
Please be careful when you're mowing your lawn, because a stray rock kicked up by your lawnmower can literally
I
kill
thought that
someone.
shit was
In the
fake.
lab, Adam and Jamie rigged a lawnmower with an electric
I remember
motor so
seeing
they
that
could
like, that's
control
so
the
stupid.
speed.
That would not
Once
kill
the blades
nobody.
were brought down on rocks, the rocks were shattered and sent flying at 400 feet per second. When tested on a ballistic pendulum, the fired rock swung the pendulum at 66 degrees, while a round from a .357 Magnum sent it only 60 degrees. While the flung rock wasn't as fast as the bullet, it had more mass, resulting in a more powerful punch.
That is more energy from the rocks than from a bullet from a .357.
I knew lawnmowers were scary. I just didn't know how scary.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
The plan is simple. Each Mythbuster will
Carson helps
plunge their
their
hand
thing.
into ice, first shouting out random words, and then again shouting expletives.
Most people think their toilet seat's pretty dirty.
Yeah.
This myth states that that's not necessarily the case, that there are many other locations and things within your average person's immediate vicinity that are far filthier than their toilet seat.
Number 1, a standard vacuum cleaner can generate enough suction to lift a car.
There is a story that's been on our list for a long time. I've always wanted to test it. The myth is that a standard household vacuum cleaner has enough suction to lift a car.
Okay, one single vacuum hose can't lift a car on its own, but its suction power can, given the right surface area. During initial tests, Adam and Jamie found that a standard vacuum cleaner has a suction power of 2.8 psi. They then built 40 suction cups at the same power and attached them to a crane with the hopes of lifting a car. The initial tests were problematic, forcing them to replace the suction cups with plywood boxes. With these boxes, they were able to lift the car to the full height of the crane. When the suction was turned off, the car disengaged, proving that the crane played no part in the lifting and confirming the myth.
And if anyone needs to lift a car with a vacuum, don't call us. We've done it once. We don't want to do it again.
Why would anybody try to do that anyway? But that part about driving while sleepy, I could definitely believe that, because I've driven while being turned before, which I highly don't recommend. I haven't done that recently. It's been like years and years. But when I did do that, I was like super focused and like, oh my God, I'm drunk. I can't crash. I ain't trying to die today, but I gotta get home. This was like a very long time ago. I don't even think Uber was a thing back then. But anyway, yeah, and I was able to get home safely. I was good in the head. But when I am sleepy, like, I have to pull over and like take a nap or something, because being tired, like, your body will shut down. If your body is like super exhausted, like, it don't give a fuck what you doing or what's going on. It's going to shut down and force you to go to sleep. So you know, driving while sleepy, definitely gonna get your ass killed if you're not careful. This was an interesting list. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Let me know what other videos you want me to react to, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.